students, welcome back to another session. Previous session we have seen nutrition in amoeba, that is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So that was in the unicellular organisms. Now in this session we are going to look at the human digestive system. We are going to learn the parts of the digestive system. So what are the different subtopics we are going to take in this? The first one will be what is the type of nutrition in human beings. The second one will be what are the steps followed in the process of digestion. Then what are the different parts of the digestive system? We are going to understand what are the different parts of the digestive system. Then we'll be looking at the associated glands with the digestive system. Coming to the first portion, first topic, this is the human digestive system. Before we get into the details of the human digestive system, let's understand that humans also undergo the same heterotrophic mode of nutrition because we cannot produce our own food. We are directly or indirectly dependent on them, and we also belong to the same holozoic mode of nutrition. We don't digest our food before it enters our digestive system. We take the food as a whole and then digest it. Now how do we digest these particular enzymes? So we all have food which is very, very complex. So we do not take simple kinds of foods. We take carbohydrates, proteins, fats, other kinds of complex foods. Before it enters the digestive system, the foods have to be broken down into simpler substances. So that will be the meaning for digestion. The complex food has to be broken down into simple substances so that our body can absorb that food and then utilize it for various activities in the form of energy. Now, how are these complex foods broken down? It's simple that all the complex foods are broken down by means of biomolecular enzymes, which is compulsory for them to make into simpler substances. So the enzymes will help us. They are biocatalysts. They help us to speeden up a particular reaction. At the same time, they also break the complex substances into simple substances so that we can easily absorb them into our body. Now, having that introduction of what is digestion and what are the enzymes doing with the help in digestive process, let's look at the different parts of the digestive system. So we start with the mouth region. Mouth enters into the next region, which is called as the buccal cavity. So you all know the buccal cavity consists of the teeth and the tongue in that particular portion, along with the mucous lining which is present in the mouth region. So buccal cavity enters into the next part of the digestive system, which is esophagus, and esophagus enters into the stomach, and stomach to the small intestine, and then we have the large intestine, rectum and anus. So we are just looking at the parts of this particular digestive system. So in between we have other parts also, but we will take it up one by one. Coming to the first part, that is mouth. So you all know that food is put inside the mouth and then it is made into simple substances so that we chew down the food into a soft substance so that it enters the esophagus. Now what do we have in the mouth region to make that food into smaller particles? The first thing we'll be looking at the teeth. Then we have a tongue, which is a muscular organ which has various characteristics by which it is used for many purposes. Then we will be looking at a common point, that is buccal cavity. And the buccal cavity will be entering into a pharynx, which is a common point. Now all these will be touched before the buccal cavity. Now coming to the mouth region, we all have teeth in our mouth, and what is the function of the teeth? Looking at the diagram, you can understand that these are the teeth here and this is the tongue which is present here. Now what is the use of tongue for us? So as soon as we put the food into our mouth, the first thing we do is to taste it. So the taste buds get activated so that we will know that whether we do like that particular food or not. So the taste buds will be the first one which will know that particular sensation of the food. Now taste buds, these are all the taste buds you're seeing here. Now the taste buds on the tongue will help you to recognize the major 4 different tastes. The taste will be of that of sweet, the sour, the bitter taste, and then the salty taste. Now different regions of the taste buds will help you to taste these regions. So some people like to have a sweet tooth, they like to have sweet food. Some people have more salt, then depends on what kind of taste buds you are activated all the time. Tongue, in fact, apart from having these taste buds, it also helps as a mixing organ. So once you take the food gets mixed. So how does it get mixed? It is mixed with the saliva, which is given out from the salivary glands, which is present in the mouth. So we will be studying in detail about the salivary glands in the next session. So right now we are just looking at the parts which help in the process of digestion. Along with this tongue, now tongue using for the taste buds as well as a mixing organ, it also helps the food to be rolled up so that the chewed food is pushed through the throat region. Now all these functions are for the tongue. Now coming to the next one, that is the teeth here. So we all know we have 2 different sets of teeth in our lifetime. So the first set of teeth, which comes after the infant becomes, a baby becomes 1 year old, will be called as the milk teeth. Now milk teeth falls off, that is, it is deciduous, that means it will fall at a certain period of time, say around 8 to 10 years, and the new tooth start developing in that particular place. Now that set of teeth, which is called as the permanent teeth. Milk teeth are 20 in number and permanent teeth are 32 in number. How do we know it's 32 and how do we know it's 20? Because in milk teeth we will be seeing that the molars and the premolars are less in number and the molars are generally absent. So dentition 20 here and 32 here. As you see in the diagram, we have different types of teeth in our mouth. What are the different types of teeth here? So we have the incisors, the canines, the premolars and the molars. What are the functions of these incisors, canines, premolars and molars? Incisors help in biting that particular food. So you need to bite the food before you chew it down. So the biting part is done by the incisors. And canines are for tearing. So it's to tear that particular food. If you're eating a hard food or a fibrous food, so you will tend to tear the food first before you chew it up. The third one, that is the premolars and the molars together, will be for crushing and grinding that particular food. So all these types of teeth are found in the mouth region. Since we have different types of teeth at the same area, so we call that dentition as heterodont dentition. Hetero means different types. So we have different types of teeth, incisors, canines, premolars and molars. So we call them as heterodont type of dentition. So we have this milk teeth as well as the permanent teeth. That means we have 2 set of teeth in our lifetime. So since we have 2 different sets of teeth, we give the term diphyodont dentition. That means we have 2 sets of teeth in our lifetime. And our teeth are embedded in sockets, which we call them commonly as the gums. So since they are present in the gums, we give the term thecodont to that particular dentition. So thecodont. So what are the 3 things we learned? The teeth are diphyodont, thecodont because they are present inside the gums, and different types of teeth, so heterodont. So our teeth is this diphyodont, heterodont as well as the thecodont type of dentition. Teeth help in chewing the food, and chewing is just not very dry. The saliva has to come into action. Only when the saliva is added to the chewing part, it becomes very soft, and then it can be carried forward. So it gets pushed down the throat. Once it is completely chewed, and with the help of saliva, it becomes sticky. So we will be seeing all this in the next session. Coming to the other parts of the digestive system, the next one we are talking about a common passage. I told you the food, after it moves through the buccal cavity, it enters into a common point which is called as a pharynx. Now, why did we say this is a common point? So pharynx divides into two before it enters the respiratory system as well as in the esophagus region. So since it divides into two, it has two passages coming out as a common point. So pharynx is a common point, and the common point is guarded by means of a flap-like structure which is called as epiglottis. Now, what is the function of this epiglottis? Now, this epiglottis will help the windpipe or the food pipe to be covered when the other function is on the process. So we are doing the process of digestion, or we are eating a food. So the flap on the windpipe will get closed by this particular epiglottis, and vice versa. So it helps us to guard the passages through two different systems, that is respiratory system as well as the digestive system. Esophagus, no digestion takes place at this particular point. It is just a muscular tube which helps to connect the buccal cavity with the stomach region. Esophagus consists of muscles which help it to push down the food. The food is pushed in a rhythmic manner which is called as peristalsis. So peristalsis is the movement of the food through the esophagus, where rhythmic contractions and relaxations happen by means of certain muscles, that is circular as well as the longitudinal muscles. Esophagus takes you down the stomach. Now, what does the stomach do? It will be lazy for some time. It will keep the food for 3 to 4 hours before it acts upon the process of digestion. So the food stays in the stomach for about a period of 3 to 4 hours. What are the things which help in digestion? So stomach is having this HCl as well as the mucus, and it also has an enzyme which helps in the process of digestion. Stomach is a muscular organ and it is highly distensible. So you can feed yourself to the limit you can have, because the stomach keeps expanding most of the time. Now, stomach enters into the next part, that is the small intestine. Small intestine is broken down into 3 different parts. The first part we call it as the duodenum. Next we have the jejunum. And then you have the ileum. That will be the total part of the small intestine. Our alimentary canal is about 6 to 9 feet long, but the small intestine itself occupies 3/4 of the digestive system. It's almost like, say, 22 feet. And this particular small intestine is much longer in herbivores. Why is it long in herbivores? Herbivores have this habit of taking cellulose into their as food. So this cellulose digestion will always take a longer period of time. To compensate this part of the digestion, they do have a larger or a longer small intestine areas, especially the ileum area. So this will be the longest part of the small intestine. So alimentary canal, small intestine will be the longest part, and inside the small intestine, ileum will be the longest part. Now this is about small intestine. Now the small intestine leads into the large intestine. Here we called it as colon, but before the colon, you can see there is a small structure which is called as appendix. Now this appendix is at the junction of the small and the large intestine. You all must have some part. The appendix is a vestigial organ. That means we do not have any function as such with it. But many people would have experienced the inflammation of the appendix, which we call it as appendicitis. Appendix is a vestigial organ only in humans, but in the herbivores, it does have microorganisms which help in the process of digestion. Appendix leads to the rectum. So colon, The large intestine consists of three parts: the colon, the cecum, as well as the last part, that is the rectum. Now rectum leads into the final part, which is called as the anus, which helps in expulsion of the excreta or the unwanted food from the digestive system. So we have learned the parts here, and we will try to give the process in 5 different steps, which we'll be studying in the coming session. The 5 steps of digestion will be: the first one will be ingestion, second one will be the digestion, third will be the absorption, fourth will be the assimilation, and finally you need to give out the unwanted excreta. The final one will be egestion. So these 5 steps in detail we will be taking up in the coming session. Now these are all the parts of the digestive system, and associated with the digestive system you can see here 2 different glands, the liver and the pancreas. Now liver is the largest gland in our body. Even though it does not produce any enzymes, it has number of factors which is very, very important for the process of digestion. Pancreas is equivalent, and pancreas is both an exocrine and an endocrine organ. It produces digestive juices as well as it helps in production of hormones. These 2 glands are associated with the digestive system, apart from the salivary glands which are associated with the mouth region. In detail we will be taking it up. So I hope you understood the parts here. So starting with the buccal cavity, it ends with the anus, that will be the alimentary canal. So let's take up a few questions, what we studied. Give one word for the following statements. The rhythmic movement of food inside the esophagus. So we saw the rhythmic movement, we call it as peristalsis. Soft chewed food pushing down the throat. I told you that food is being chewed with the saliva and then it becomes very soft, a ball-like structure which gets pushed inside the throat region. Now that one we call it as a bolus. B-O-L-U-S. The bolus is the round shaped chewed food which gets pushed through the throat. The third one, the partially digested food in the stomach, we call it as chyme. In detail we'll be taking it up. So chyme will be the first part which enters the stomach, which gets churned. The churned food we call it as the chyme. What is the dental formula of milk teeth and permanent teeth? Milk teeth, I told you it is 20, and permanent teeth we said it is 32. So in the order of incisors, canines, premolars and molars, we have the dentition for permanent teeth as 2, 1, 2, 3 by 2, 1, 2, 3. That is, we have 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolars and 3 molars in the 1/2 of the jaw. So when you add it up, it is 8 plus 8, 16, and in both the jaws it is 32. So that will be the dental formula of permanent teeth. Now what about the milk teeth? Milk teeth 20 we said. So we have 2102. That means the premolars are absent in the case of milk teeth. So you can count it. It's 3 plus 2, 5. 5 plus 5, 10 in each half jaw. Totally you have 20 milk teeth. So there are no premolars in this particular milk teeth. Why do herbivores have a longer intestine? We have already looked at, because they do have the cellular, they do take food in the form of cellulose, and cellulose digestion takes more time. So the small intestine is much longer as compared to that of carnivores. Coming to the previous year questions, what are the digestive glands associated in the human digestive system? So the associated glands will be liver and pancreas. You can write the liver is the largest gland in the body, and you can write that it does not have enzymes, and pancreas is both exocrine as well as endocrine gland. You can give that here in this particular question. What is vermiform appendix? The junction between the small and the large intestine. We'll have a small structure which is called as a vermiform appendix, and you can also add that appendix is a vestigial organ. It is of no use to human digestive system, so we don't have to do anything with it. But in herbivores, it does produce these microorganisms. And what is the role in ruminants? Ruminants will be the herbivores, especially the cows and the buffaloes. So this you must have studied when you must have studied in 7th or 8th. Now cows and buffaloes are called ruminants because they have this special partitions in the stomach which is called as a ruminant stomach. Now this has certain bacteria so that the cellulose digestion takes place. Coming to the last question, mucous lining in the stomach helps in protection of it. Explain. So this we will take it up in the next session, but as far as now, mucous lining is important for the stomach so that the stomach gets protected from acids. So we just understood that the stomach is made up of acid, mucus and enzyme. So to protect the stomach line, this particular mucous lining is very, very important from acids. We have seen the parts of the digestive system and the associated digestive glands. We understood what are the different parts and what are the variations, and to take forward in the coming session or the next session, we will be looking at the process of digestion, how digestion takes place, and what are the different associated enzymes and glands and what are their functions. To conclude this today, we will catch up in the next session. Thank you.